Hello, welcome to Geeks Unleashed. It's episode 111. I'm Mark,
I'm Jasmin.
and each week on the Geeks Unleashed podcast, we like to talk about our current viewing, reading, or geeky playing habits.
Yep,
We mix that in with a comic book, movie, or television review, and that is Geeks Unleashed podcast.
pretty much. And before we get started, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. We appreciate that. We would also love it if you would like this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, we appreciate that as well. We would also very much love it if you would leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser.
Thank you very much. Also, feel free to donate in cash to our Ko-Fi. Anything you can afford to give will be much appreciated. So,
Yep.
uh, do you have a good week, by the way, before we go any further?
I mean, same as last week.
Yeah,
It's really
busy.
picking up at work, so it's been super busy.
I feel the same. So
Yeah.
I might do some work later, to be honest.
Oh
So,
no, I got meal prep and football later, so American
mean,
football, Mark.
hand egg. um, I'd love to see like an American football team versus a rugby team and see what happens.
I mean, they're built the same.
No, no, but you guys all wear soldier pads where the rugby
Yeah.
players wear nothing.
Yeah.
So, uh, I mean, they wear clothes. Like,
Well, I mean, rugby players are probably a lot more athletic. I mean, we got some football players that are like 400 pounds. So
imagine in American football, you just have to be able to run fast. Like,
some guys, but you also need the big guys to like block. So
yeah,
you need those heavy set guys to just stand still and make sure nobody else passes them.
multi-talented team.
Yes.
Well, it should be. It's a team anyway. So, like everybody. Anyway, actually, I'll switch it around a little bit. So, as we're catching up, I just thought I'd chat out my TV viewing habits. I know you said because you've been busy, you haven't really watched a lot. I'll be honest.
Yeah. The only thing
Been
I got
busy.
I got a new My Hero Academia shirt. It's Deku. So cute. So that's the only like nerdy thing I got this week.
That's cool. I actually would want some more nerdy t-shirts. I think I've only got like one left. I always find with like the geeky t-shirts, they don't last that long.
Oh,
They,
well, I mean, I don't wear them. I usually like save all of my geeky shirts so I can wear them for the podcast because
okay, yeah.
I wear polos to work every day, so I don't get to wear them to work.
Yeah, no, maybe. Yeah, I've got a lot more t-shirts now. I should try and look into investing some more. I've got a Venom t-shirt left. I think that might be it. So, um, we've never reviewed Venom 1 on here. Well, we did Venom
Yeah, we
2.
did, didn't we?
Oh, did we?
We
No,
did,
we
we
did
did.
2. We did 2. We didn't do 1.
I thought we did one, and you hated it.
No, we've only done 2. But anyway, well, right. Anyway, we're jumping ahead. Right, okay. This week, in terms of viewing habits and stuff like that, I didn't really read a lot this week. It was just too busy. But I did finish off Pieces of Her, and this is the
Mhm.
third episode I've mentioned it, and that says a lot. For an 8 episode series, I could probably finish that in a week. But because it was just so dire, it took me like 3 weeks. It was
That
real
is
like,
such a bummer. Like, if you guys go back and listen 2 episodes ago, Mark was super excited when he watched the first episode of Pieces of Her, and then it just turned out to be like a womp womp.
oh, honestly, it was 8 episodes. It should have been either a 2 hour movie, like it could have been really strong 2 hour movie, or at the very most a 4 episode miniseries. But 8 episodes is way too long. I
Yeah,
would say the first 2 episodes were really good. Like,
but that's it.
yeah, and then it just went downhill really badly, and I kept really waiting for some big thing to happen. That's kind of why I stuck with it. And I got the impression it was a miniseries. I haven't actually checked, but the way it ends very much like a season 2 has been set up, with kind of an ending, like
It's
if it
on
doesn't.
Netflix, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Netflix is notorious for 2 seasons and done. So there might be a second season.
I mean, if there is a second season, I won't watch it. So. I'm done with that show now, unfortunately. So
Oh, sorry,
um,
Tony.
it says a lot though that after I finished it, I then watched within like a day. So there's a TV show over here called Marcella, which finished in 2021, the third season. I never got a chance to watch it. The first 2 seasons came out before COVID. Season 3 came out. It's a British TV show. It came out in third season came out in 2021, 8 episodes. And I meant to get around to watching it, just never did. And like I've watched 4 episodes in like 2 days. I think it says a lot more about the show if you just want to like, oh, what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
So it's a lot more intriguing. So Marcella, I remember when it came out, it was described as like the female version of Luther. I wouldn't say it's that, but she's kind of a cop that takes no nonsense, but she's also got a lot of her own problems. And throughout all 3 seasons, one of Marcella's biggest issues is that she suffers from blackouts.
Oh.
So that's a great.
As a cop? That sounds dangerous.
Yeah, no. So she used to hide that in the first 2 seasons, but like that would constantly lead to problems, like her waking up and there's a dead body next to her, or she'd wake up and there's blood all over her hands, and then suddenly and then someone's been reported as missing, and she's like trying to then piece together if it was her. That happened. That was a couple that they used that a couple of times in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But season 3 is kind of a bit of a reboot. They've taken her and placed her with a completely new cut. Well, 95% new cast, and she's undercover. And she's in some sort of gangster family now undercover. So, but she's one of those cops who do whatever it takes to get it done. So I like it. It's a bit annoying knowing that from what I had a good Google that there's no season 4. So I assume the last 4 episodes will be the end of the show. So and then the last thing I watched was the first episode of Sarah Michelle Gellar's new TV show Wolfpack. So
I have heard not good things about that.
But do you know what? I thought it was alright. Like she's good in it. The tone of it was good, I thought. I think what was probably a bit of an issue was they launched it on the same day as the Teen Wolf movie, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
And I think maybe people. There's no connection at all to Teen Wolf. I think it was probably a bad move to launch both things on the same day. So, because before I went in, I Googled it to double check if it was linked. Just because I watched Teen Wolf, but I didn't. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't be linked. And
did you watch the movie?
I'm halfway through the movie, so I haven't had time. I didn't really want to comment too much because I'm halfway through it. But so far, it's okay. The movie. So.
Okay.
It's like a slightly more adult version of the TV series, but then 6 years have gone past and they're all adults, so why not? There seems to be a lot of bums being shown now,
okay.
rather than in the TV show there was a lack of that. So that's not a comment on the plot or anything like that.
Hey, how do you like that Teen Wolf movie? God, there's so much ass.
What I just noticed was there's a lot more nudity now. So they obviously, because they're on a streaming app, they went for whatever they could do. So
that one guy is on OnlyFans, so maybe that was his influence. He's like, I'm only gonna come back and do this Teen Wolf movie if I get to show my ass.
Well, so far he's not been naked. So,
okay. Well, that's funny then.
I'm an hour in. You never know. He's also got time. Yeah, there's still time for that. There's still time for his ass to show up. But anyway, I watched an hour of it. So far, it's okay. Like I quite like seeing a lot of the familiar faces. Yeah. It's a shame the actor who played Styles hasn't come back. You know, the guy from The Maze Runner. Apparently, he sort of decided that he didn't want to come back because he felt like he'd put his character to bed. But yeah, I think he should. I think it's obviously a bit of why I think I'm better than this. So you know. I mean, he should have come back. Tyler, what's his name? Who got to play Superman came back, and he's definitely bigger than this now.
But Tyler's only done TV. Tyler doesn't really do movies.
Yeah, I know, but you know, he's clearly
Dylan is busy. Okay.
I know, but Tyler probably is getting a lot more work, I would imagine now. So I think it's nice that he came back because he was always the biggest. Well, at the time.
At the time, he was a big name. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know Dylan gets a bit more work, but you know that work came from being in Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
So I feel like a bit like Respect Your Roots, you know, even if it was a cameo, like just at the end. I mean, I haven't seen it, but apparently he doesn't even make a cameo. So I haven't finished watching it. So
I don't know. I'm on his side. Respect your time.
But yeah, the Wolfpack I thought was alright. Like
well, I mean, but you have bad luck with first episode, so you'll have to keep watching and let me know.
Oh yeah, no, I know. Do you know what though? I've always thought sometimes that people get a premise for a
for a thing.
For a thing. Like that's probably the best way to describe it. Like creators will get this idea for a premise, and they'll like think, oh yeah, that sounds really good, and they'll turn it into an 8, 10, 22 episode show. It's becoming now more 8 to 12 episodes, but actually that premise, if they were to take it, dial it all the way back, should have probably been a film, or a really tight 4 episode mini.
Yeah.
And I think they get these premises, and they're like, oh yeah, that's great. Let's try and milk 12 episodes out of this thing.
Yeah.
And that's when that really tight idea just loosens, and then even that 12 episodes might do really well. So let's bring that for season 2. No. Sometimes it is good just to have a really strong short story. So
But
anyway,
there's no money to be made in that, Mark.
I'd rather people told short, good stories, did well, and came back for another thing.
A different story.
Yeah. Even if even if they came back for a second mini with those characters, but a different story. So sometimes I'm quite good with that if they bring those characters back with a different story. But anyway, so yeah, I know you said you haven't really got a lot of new TV to watch or anything like that, but I thought we'd flip over to the news if you want. You ready?
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, I'll do the first one.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, this is a bit of a shock to nobody. Titans,
especially given what's going on at HBO, like nobody's surprised at all.
Titans and Doom Patrol have been cancelled with their current season. So I read about this when the news came out a couple of days ago, and the creators behind both shows said they could see the writing was on the wall with everything that was going on at Warner Brothers. So they said that both their seasons for Doom Patrol and Titans, which is currently airing, have been designed to be a series ender. So
that sucks.
Yeah. So I mean, have you watched either of them?
No, I haven't. But like, I just don't. I mean, I still don't understand what is going on at Warner Brothers and HBO. Like, HBO is still producing top tier content. Like, everybody seems to love The Last of Us, and they loved House of Dragon. But like, what the hell? Like, all of the Warner Brothers I don't know. Warner Brothers is such a mess right now. It's just anytime I see Warner Brothers news at this point, I'm just like, there's no point in being surprised. Like they could come out and be like, James Gunn is fired, and I'd be like, well, sorry, Jimbo, saw that coming.
So I kind of, my opinions on this is, so we had Stargirl and Swamp Thing, Titans and Doom Patrol, and I think there was an animated Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy. No, Harley Quinn.
The Harley Quinn show. That all came out of the original DC Universe app, which was an American thing. So when they came over here, that went onto other platforms anyway. I think Titans is on Netflix. I think Doom Patrol's on Amazon over here. I think Swamp Thing might be on Amazon. I can't remember.
Swamp Thing only got half of one season, didn't it?
No, it got a whole season, but then it got cancelled. I remember that was to do with
budget,
tax incentives that wherever it was being filmed, some misinterpretation of the credits they were going to receive from whatever state it was filmed in, and
I think it was Louisiana.
It cost them a heckload more than they sort of thought it was going to. So they got cancelled just purely due to money. I haven't actually watched something, but I do want to watch it. But there we go. Titans, I have watched the first 2 seasons. My intention is to finish them. I actually think the Titans TV show is very well done. So there's not, to be honest with you, it's actually really well put together show. So yeah, I guess my only thing was a bit like, it's just another thing that's on its own. So Doom Patrol, I only watched the first episode, didn't really click with me, but it's something I've always thought I'll go back and watch. Have you watched either of these?
Nope.
Stargirl, I've watched the first 2 seasons, but not the current one that just finished. That was the final one. Doom Patrol, the first season. Stargirl, the first season was really good. Second season wasn't so good, but I think that was a CW thing. You could tell they really like the difference in the budget between seasons. So season 1 was made for DC Universe, but they didn't put it on there. They then put it on CW. I think they could tell the writings on the wall that the DC Universe app was coming to an end, so they shipped it over to CW. But you could tell the difference in terms of the budget. So CW obviously had a lower budget. Titans is really good, but you can kind of see why these have been cancelled, because they're also standalone. And I think, whilst I'm a little bit annoyed with some of James Gunn's decisions so far about the change of Superman, I'm not too annoyed if he's trying to streamline everything, because it doesn't make sense to have DC putting out multiple different universes everywhere. So
Yeah.
I think people like it that it's all connected. I just hope they don't go down the Marvel route like Marvel have the last 12, 18 months and put way too much content out. So I think Marvel went for what do you call it? Volume rather than quality.
Well, I think they are trying to make up for the pandemic.
Yeah, I think that, well, they have said they've realised that they're going to try and rein it back in. But anyway, I think it was no shock to anyone. They've been cancelled. So
yeah, no surprise there.
Yeah.
But those got canceled. We got something that's new that's coming. Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Amazon are working together again, and she is going to actually be writing and producing a Tomb Raider series for Amazon based on the most recent Tomb Raider games. That's kind of a bummer because I liked as sort of, even though she's kind of flat, like I really like the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider.
Oh, I love that movie. I love that movie. I thought it was really good.
So I'm kind of bummed that they're starting over again. But I mean, I really love those games, and I think if they're gonna follow the new gen Tomb Raider games, then that'd be fun to see. So we'll see. I mean, and Amazon and Phoebe have a really good relationship. She did Fleabag for them, so it'll be interesting. I'm intrigued to see what they come up with.
I think with how well The Last of Us has done, I hope that they learn from that. And the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider, I thought was really well done. So if they can take that and what's going on with Last of Us and apply that to a really strong Tomb Raider show, and Amazon has got the money to put together a good show, so
they do.
I'm hoping it's going to be, something of substance that's going to get a bit of a buzz going on.
Yeah.
So,
any ideas pop into your head of who you think should be the new Lara Croft?
Do you know what? I don't know, like not really, but I'd be more than happy. I don't think they would do this, but I'd be more than happy if they somehow, I know it wouldn't happen, but somehow got Alicia Vikander to actually just play the same role again.
Yeah.
Because I actually thought that movie was really well done. I can't see them doing a sequel, but I'd be quite on board with that. I know they won't do it, so it's just, I don't know. I have to think about it. It caught me unawares there. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah, I don't know either. Like, I'm trying to think of like young British actresses that could be, I don't know, that could be Lara Croft.
Somebody that's got action, sort of can handle the daintiness of being a billionaire.
Yeah.
Versus climbing up mountains. So.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep it young, like the video games, like if they went a bit older, I think Rebecca Ferguson could be a really good Lara Croft.
She's coming into a TV series on Apple soon, I think.
Oh, is she?
We talked about this. Something set in the future where they all live in silos.
Oh, yeah. You were talking about that a couple episodes ago.
Well, I've just Googled young British actresses just to see any names. Like, these are all standard. These are all ones, obviously, people look up quite regularly. Saoirse Ronan, she probably would be good.
Oh yeah, she was in that TV show Hannah, where she played like this spy clone thing.
Anna Taylor-Joy, who seems to be flavor of the month.
I don't much like her.
Florence Pugh.
Oh, Florence would be really good as Lara Croft.
Emma Watson, and she wouldn't do it, and I don't think they'd pick her. Sophie Turner. I don't think she would probably be. No. Daisy Ridley. I don't think she'd do it because of the Star Wars thing. I don't think she'd want to get associated with a character.
Yeah, another franchise.
Yeah, another Lara Croft. Cara Delevingne.
Nah.
No, I don't think so.
Florence is a good choice.
Yeah, I think Florence would be good.
Yeah. Plus, we already know she can do action really well.
Oh, there's another actress. Oh, I forgot her name. Hold on. She was in Maze Runner. She was in Skins. I just can't remember her name. Hold on, 2 ticks. I'll tell you. Oh, there we go. Kayla or Kate. Kayla something. Kayla.
That name doesn't sound familiar.
Kayla. Oh, I don't know how to say her surname. Scott Ilario. Anyway, she played Effie on Channel 4 Skins, and she was in Maze Runner. Well, I think actually, Florence Pugh would probably be my choice.
Yeah, mine too. If okay, Amazon, there you go. You're welcome. We just cast Tomb Raider for you.
I think if they were going to do it, they'll go with somebody unknown, who's
Probably.
cheap.
Wow.
Somebody unknown, so probably good, but somebody unknown who's cheap.
Yeah.
Maybe someone who's more been on some British TV shows, so not that famous. So
yeah, an up and comer.
Yeah, I can't see them going with Florence or any big names. So,
yeah. Well, we'll see.
Those episodes are going to be expensive to make if they're going to do it well.
Yeah.
So they just need to sign somebody for three or 4 seasons on a low salary. By the time season 4 is done, or 3, I bet they only make 3 seasons of it.
I mean, there's what, 4 games?
3 of the new games. So
there's only 3. Game. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
I could. There you go. That's the news that we got for this week.
Okay, so Jonah Hex.
So, okay, we're gonna do a bit of trivia before we get into everything. Now, no guessing, no nothing, but spoiler.
This week we're talking about. Well, I was to say this week we're talking about the Jonah Hex movie from 2010, and Jasmin is going to do the trivia.
Yeah. So, this movie flopped. Spoiler. But Josh Brolin ended up getting the lead of Jonah Hex, but the person that actually like campaigned for the role was Thomas Jane, to the point where he even like dressed up in costume, did the fake makeup, had headshots done. So he still didn't get the part. Again, it went to Josh Brolin. But Thomas Jane did get to voice Jonah Hex in one of the DC animated films. And I just like, I don't remember. I don't remember any of the hype around this movie when it came out in 2010. Also, the budget was not that big. It was they had a $47 million budget, I think, $49 million budget. But also they put like the dog that follows Jonah Hex around throughout the whole film. For whatever reason, they wanted to make sure that this dog looked mangy on purpose. And so they actually did makeup on the dog to the point where the dog had to sit through makeup for an hour a day before they started filming sequences. And I was like, how the hell did you get the dog to sit still for an hour so that you could put makeup on the dog?
They must have had a lot of treats.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But like, obviously they were like, we're not going to waste CGI on the damn dog. Just put the dog in the makeup chair. Josh Brolin could not eat or drink when he was wearing his Jonah Hex prosthetic like on his face. Which that seems kind of shitty because like film sets, they've got like 12-14 hour days. You mean to tell me like he can't eat at all, or he has to take it off, eat, and then they have to go sit in the makeup chair and put it all back on after he finishes eating? That seems like a lot of work. Also, unfortunately, Josh Brolin really, really wanted this film to be good. He said himself that unfortunately it was unsalvageable, which I can't disagree with you on that one, Josh. Like, I could see the potential, but yeah, it was, it was not that great. This Jonah Hex film actually is the very first comic role for Josh Brolin. And obviously he went on to do much bigger and better comic roles, namely Thanos in the MCU. Also, he played Cable in Deadpool. So this was his first dip in the toe in the pool, and I guess he decided he liked superhero films because he has done so many more since then. Also, he really campaigned for a like top tier A-list director. He really wanted Park Chan-wook to direct this film. Now, for those of you familiar, Park Chan-wook did Old Boy, which is one of the best like Korean action films ever made. Park Chan-wook also did Snowpiercer. And recently he did Decision to Leave, which has been getting a bit of Oscar buzz lately. Obviously that did not happen. Although I do wonder like how much better the film would have been if Park Chan-wook had been at the helm, like with his action-oriented directing style. Like I just imagine the fight sequence would have been so much better if he had been directing this film. But that did not happen. And instead, as Josh said earlier, the film was just unsalvageable. That's all I got. That's all I got for trivia. Josh Brolin tried really hard is the conclusion I came to, but it just was not enough.
So, okay, I'm going to attempt to do this and not ruin people's names. Jonah Hex 2010 is based on Jonah Hex from DC Comics by John Albano and Tony.
Zuniga.
Yeah, there you go. First appearance was in All-Star Western issue 10, 1972. So quite a while back.
Yeah.
9 years before I was born. So, written by William Farmer, Mark Nevdalene, Nevdalene, there you go, and Brian Turner, directed by Jimmy Hayward, starring Josh Brolin, sorry, as we just said, John Malkovich, Megan Fox, Michael Fassbender, William Arnett, Michael Shannon. Release date was June 18th, 2010. Running time of 81 minutes.
81 minutes, not even an hour and a half.
hour and 20 minutes. Basically, when I started this up, I saw an hour and 20 minutes. I thought, okay, this is already a bad film. Yeah. Like, what I've realized is most films that are less than an hour and a half are generally not very good.
Yeah, this is true, unfortunately. Unless it's like animated. Like animated films tend to skate under, like if they're shorter, they tend to be pretty good. But like that's not the case for live action.
I think if you're circling under an hour and a half, it's generally not a very good film.
That means a lot of stuff got cut on the editing. Side.
Look, I'm not saying that there's not films under an hour and a half that you don't enjoy, because there's a difference between being a good film and it being enjoyed. Like we've said this a few times, you can enjoy a terrible film. You know it's terrible, but you enjoy it.
Yep.
Yeah, when I saw it was an hour and 21 minutes or something, I was like, oh, okay, this is not going to be good. Which I already thought this wasn't going to be good anyway. Anyway, right, okay. Budget 47 million US dollars. Had a very similar budget to Spawn, which we reviewed last week. Spawn, however, grossed 76 million. This, however, grossed 11 million US dollars.
Yeah. So no, Spawn actually grossed 87. This film made $76 million less than Spawn.
Sorry, I misread your notes. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Which I thought was like insane. Like, apparently, people just really, really, really loved Spawn. Like, Spawn doubled its money. Like, they call Spawn a flop, but it doubled its money. And whereas this film, 47 million budget, and it only made $11 million in the box office. That's embarrassing for 2010.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of film does that these days?
Well, because was it 2008 was when we had Iron Man, and sort of Marvel was starting to get into trying to make serious comic book movies.
Yeah.
And we'd already had some good.
Well, they had done Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider was 2007.
Yeah, I mean, Ghost Rider wasn't very good either. But anyway, I know. Before we give any more thoughts on it, do you want to throw a summary?
All right. So the summary of Jonah Hex. The U.S. military makes a scarred bounty hunter with warrants on his head an offer he can't refuse. In exchange for his freedom, he must stop a terrorist who is ready to unleash hell on Earth.
So, summary of our thoughts for this movie. This movie, do you know what? It came out in 2010 to start with, for my association. I never watched it at cinema. 2010 was a very busy year for me personally. Married, bought a house, had a child. So I can see why, there's probably a few things that skipped my time and attention back then. I think I've said this before, that over the years, it's never really appealed to me, in all honesty. I think I did a few years ago, put it on, about 20 minutes in, turned it off. So this is not for me. But we set ourselves a task, going through everything comic book related. And a bit like Spawn, you're going to have to do these things. So I think it's good, though, to mix in really outstanding movies with movies that are not so outstanding.
Yeah. But it sucks to me, though, that these are the films that people judge everything by. They're like, oh, the comic book genre is terrible. It's like, okay, but that was one bad film. Like, that doesn't make the whole genre terrible.
So anyway, my sort of association with this character is literally, it's very, very limited. I've never read an actual Jonah Hex comic at all, or graphic novel, or anything like that. My other association is Legends of Tomorrow. They had
Jonathan Satius.
Yeah. He played Jonah Hex in I can't remember how many episodes he was in, but they had brought him back for a couple of episodes. I thought he played it really well.
He was a really good Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably heard, for anyone who's a comic book fan from the 90s, people will be aware of Marvel versus DC, and 2 years running they released a line of amalgam comics, and one of the comics was called Generation Hex, in which they merged Jono aka Chambers from Generation X with Jonah Hex, making Jonah Hex, and the book was called Generation Hex, and it was kind of the amalgam's version of mutants, all cowboy-ish. That's the only comic I've actually read with any kind of link to Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
That's it. I read that in the 90s, so I don't really remember it. So now to come back to this movie, an hour and 20 minutes. It's not a lot of time to tell a good story.
I mean, it could have been.
It could have been.
If you had a good story to tell.
Yeah, if you had a good story to tell. I felt it, okay, so I felt it started strong, and then I felt like it just got lost. I think the first 20 minutes, I was kind of, I'd say intrigued, but I was having to go with it. I liked the setup. He, had, his family were killed. He was scarred in the process. He obviously was a good man who fought for his country. He's now sort of battle damaged. He's a bounty hunter. I like the fact that he stands up for himself. I want my bounty. Okay, you haven't got the bounty. Sort of saves himself, takes out most of the town. I liked the nice little moment where he made the guy the sheriff. I liked the interaction where whilst this, I don't know what they call him back then, but obviously the Megan Fox's prostitute character seems to obviously have feelings for him. And I liked this sort of setup, but then it just seemed to get lost. And I felt like, yes, I know it's a comic character based off of comic books from the 70s and ongoing beyond that. I felt like, to me, there was a lot of things that they probably should have pulled back, and I probably would have been more happy with it being a standard Western. But anyway, his machine guns on the horses, I was like, oh dear. Hit the setup that he can talk to the dead. I was like, okay, that obviously, I've never read a comic of it.
That does not happen in the comics. That was something they added specifically for the film.
Really? I did not know that. So
yes, he cannot talk to dead people in the comics.
That's even more ridiculous. So, I don't want to talk about it too much because we'll go through it, but I felt like it was a really strong setup. I didn't like the comic book tropes that they put in. The talking to the dead, I didn't realize until now. I wish they'd have got rid of that, but we'll talk about that later. And then I just felt like it got lost, and they started adding in weird delusions and just the real lack of character development for anyone other than Jonah Hex. And then it kind of just messily just got thrown together at the end, and the day got saved really easily. And I just thought, I don't know, for a world that didn't have technology, I just felt like how did they all track each other down so easily? So, and messages just seemed to get passed around really easily. I don't know. It just became, I felt really messy, and I just felt like the only character that really got developed was Jonah Hex's character, and everybody else was really wooden.
Yeah.
And however, I was like, oh my god, I love that character. I love that actor. I love Will Arnett. I love Mark Fassbender.
I totally forgot Fassbender was in this film.
I forgot the guy from Elementary was in it.
Who played Moriarty?
No. Crap. The one who actually commissioned for Jonah Hex to
Aidan Quinn.
Yeah. So I forgot he was in it. Like, there was a lot of sort of standout.
They filmed all of his scenes in 3 days.
Oh, I forgot there was a lot of well-known people in there.
Yeah.
And I just was like, oh my god, he's a good actor, etc. And I was just like, how have they got such a strong cast?
Right.
In such a terrible film. So,
that's exactly what Josh Brolin said. He was like, the cast and crew on this film were fantastic, but the film itself was just unsalvageable.
So anyway, that's my summary. So.
To me, this film is a mashup of Ghost Rider and Sherlock Holmes, but like the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes films. Like that is what this film reminds me of, where it's kind of like we're on the cusp of new technology, and it's like it doesn't quite fit in the world that they've built, but they're using this new technology anyway. I I wanted to like this film. And I think I did. Now, you did not like the guns. Now, I did like all of the technology and the how I like things being out of place in their time period is one of my favorite tropes. So
So I don't mind the machine guns too much, but the moment they showed the machine guns, I was like, okay, you're not gonna stick to a standard Western
right,
now.
right,
You're gonna make it a comic book Western movie,
yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that. But I was like, could you not just kept it as a Western? Because that actually could have been a really strong movie. Like, there's a lot of comic book movies based on comics
Yeah.
that way you wouldn't even know they're comics. So
Yeah,
they
but
could,
it's like it didn't have like that old school feel. I mean, like
yeah.
I loved Westerns. Like I grew up watching Westerns. My grandmother and my father were obsessed with what my dad still watches Westerns every night before bed to this day. So like I grew up as a kid watching Westerns, and I think that's why I did not hate this film. Like objectively, this is not a good film, but I enjoyed the experience of watching the film, if that makes sense. So like I like the technology, but there are so many things that are wrong. Like I love Lance Reddick, and anytime Lance Reddick pops up in anything, like I love it. But the fact that you got this black guy in the like Civil War era that is like prominent, I'm just like, no, that would never have happened here. Plus, also like watching this film from 2010 after the 2021 like insurrection where people actually stormed the US Capitol building, like, and the fact that this guy is trying to bring down the US government because he is a Confederate soldier that does not like the idea of a unified America. Like the premise of this film hits completely different after all of the shit that happened in the US post 2016. So like watching it through that lens now, it was a completely different viewing experience than when I watched this film in 2010. In 2010, I probably thought like, this is stupid. Like this would never happen. And watching it in 2023, it's just kind of like, oh shit. Well, I mean, kind of happened. Like, maybe it wasn't so far-fetched. So like to me, I think like normally the opinion is reversed, right? Like normally it's like I watched this the first time and I loved it. I watched it again and I was like, meh. Whereas this time I'm like, I watched this for the first time in 2010 and I was like, meh. And then I watch it again now and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I can see that. I can see exactly how some shit like this goes down. So I actually enjoyed this film better in 2023 than I did in 2010.
Well, I don't think anybody would do anything like that here. So, I know Guy Fawkes happened, but I don't think anyone would do any of that now in today's world in the UK.
In the
I think
UK. Lucky you guys. Well, we had it in America, so
I think we're all too, I don't know what the word is. Like,
don't say civilized because we're not.
I was going to say, I don't know, like prim and proper. I think we just like to moan. I don't think we like to do anything about it. We protest a lot. They love protests over here.
Mm-hmm.
Like ridiculously, they love protests. They love striking a lot over here too. But they don't seem to do anything beyond that. So not that I'm encouraging anything else beyond that. But yeah, I can't see us suddenly rushing Parliament or anything like that. So,
No, must be nice.
I just can't see it. I can't see it. I could be wrong, but I just can't see that ever happening. So
Yeah.
I see them more rushing football stadiums than anything else. So that stuff happens regularly, unfortunately. So people are just getting out of hand over football rather than anything else. But anyway, so I highlighted this in my summary in regards to characters. I didn't feel they really fleshed out that many characters. There were characters that maybe, like Michael Fassbender's character, I think was probably the better of the two villains that we had. I think he was definitely stronger.
He was my favorite.
He was stronger than what's his name, John Malkovich.
Yeah.
I'm not a massive John Malkovich fan, to be honest. I think John Malkovich plays kind of the same actor and everything he's in.
John Malkovich is flat and not like in a bad way. That's just his style. He is except for when we watched Space Force. He was quirky in Space Force. But for the most part, this is like that is his speed. His speed is very like even keel. Yeah, I'm doing these crazy eccentric things, but like he's very emotionless about it. Yeah, so yeah, like you said, he plays himself.
He was good in Space Force, but other than that, I think in this movie there was no real it was just him. He just showed up and just
Yeah.
yeah.
He sat in the makeup chair. He got his prosthetic nose, and he was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna like talk these lines, then I'm leaving."
He basically just phoned it in. Where with Michael Fassbender,
yeah, Fassi did a better job.
Difference. Oh, you could see the huge difference between him and say like Magneto and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I love the scene with him where he's on the train tracks, just whistling as he's setting up explosions.
As he literally blew up a train full of people.
I like yeah, literally, he put across a psycho really well.
Yeah,
he was going to kill. I don't know how many people on that train, 30 or 40 people. He was just whistling like as if it was just a normal day when he was literally about to kill these people. And to be honest with you, they didn't need to kill those people. They separated the train. They could have took what they wanted and gone.
No,
but it was like, no, we're going to kill 40 people.
Yeah, so just, plus two of their own guys.
yeah. But then John Malkovich's character just didn't change. You know, he was like, you know, very R2 guys, wherever you can find them. Actually, to be fair, I didn't think you'd find any of them, but you know. But I thought, man, Michael Fassbender did do really well. I would say of the two villains, he was a standout for me.
Yeah.
In terms of the good side, there was a lot of strong actors, but nobody with any real character development. I think Megan Fox probably the closest that came to character development below Jonah Hex.
Mm-hmm.
But Jonah Hex to me probably is my standout in this movie. His character development, I think it was just a real cold open in terms of him being tied up, seeing his family die.
Mm-hmm.
Then I thought it was quite cool that we had that animated intro where he talked over his origin story, and how I'm assuming 5-10 years have gone past, something like that. I don't know if they say. And I liked that whole he gets to set up now the Jonah Hex that we follow in the movie, what his origin is. And then throughout the movie, there's a lot of cool lines and moments that he gets to deliver.
Yeah.
You know, just like like I said about the bounty, where they said, you know, the $100 was, you know, a limited time offer, and he was like, yeah, but you're going to pay it anyway.
Yeah.
It's like there's no messing around.
Yeah.
And then like later on when he's in the bar, and then he just takes no nonsense and just shoots the guy through the wall. I was just like, yeah, I like this. I like his bravado, and I just like that. There's a few sense of moments between him and Megan Fox that I think are kind of endearing. But other than that, it's really difficult. So I would say probably my favorite character is Jonah Hex. I just think beyond that, there's some nice people to see who I like to see around Hollywood. But other than that, I'm not bothered about many of the characters, should we say. Like I think seeing these strong actors, well, oh, cool. And I think because of their strength in acting, helped carry
the rest of the film.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Fassi, like we said, because he was so psychotic. Like he was just that guy that didn't care about anything. Like blew up a train full of people. His right-hand man died, and he's like, as he's looking at his friend, I guess, like in the coffin, he's like, well, I mean, you know, if old Billy here had been paying better attention, he wouldn't be dead. And I'm just like, dude, like, isn't that your friend? Are you just talking shit that he just got killed by Jonah Hex? Like, I loved his character. I love how unhinged he was. And like he was just unhinged until the very end. So plus I always loved the villain. Like I love a good villain. And I thought that his psychotic character made up for the lack of emotion that John Malkovich's character had.
Oh, definitely. Okay, so we kind of touched on the structure of the movie while we've been going, but in summary of my structure of it, I felt like it was a really good setup. And then I think
it fell apart from there.
Probably 20-30 minutes in, it just started to derail massively. The idea, to be honest, we've seen it a lot, the idea of going to get the outcast kind of vigilante to go get the bad guy, who, you know, we've seen it a lot, you know, even in things like the A-Team or whatever, just there's always been that outsider.
You got to have the bad guy to catch the bad guy.
Yeah, so I guess with the A-Team, they were the most wanted, you know, for crimes they didn't commit. He probably did commit these crimes, Jonah Hex, or committed a fair chunk of crimes, but he ultimately has morals and is a good guy, and they recognize that and were like, you know, we want you to go after this guy because we know you killed your family. Initially, he didn't want to know, but then he's like, yeah, I'll go get this guy.
Yeah.
And it could have been a fairly simple thing, but then it just started to derail. And I just think they probably had the bare bones of probably a good story, but didn't really quite know how to execute it. I just felt like it really fell apart. I would say if I was going to make changes, I definitely think they should have cut out all the supernatural stuff. I'm not too bothered about technology that's slightly advanced for its era because you see
Mhm.
that sometimes in steampunk stuff, and I quite
Yeah.
like that.
You saw
Like
that
you
in
see,
Wild
like
Wild West with Will Smith.
I've never seen that film, so
Oh, we should put that on the list.
maybe one day.
Jonah Hex is better than
Um,
that film, if that gives you
so,
any indication.
but I think they it got derailed, and I think that they should have made some cuts to it. I think the supernatural stuff, which I didn't realize it wasn't in the comics, I don't know why they thought that'd be a good idea then, like
I liked
crazy.
it.
But no, I would have preferred it much more as a straight western. I don't mind the steampunky stuff, but I would rather have kept it as a straight western. So to me, and I would like to have seen some more character development of some of the characters, just to try and care about those other people. So whilst I think Megan Fox did what she could as a sort of the number two to Jonah, when she got kidnapped, because we've not really got to know her,
Hmm.
who cares? So
Yeah.
and
She
if she
said that
hadn't
this
got
was her worst role ever.
yeah, I think she was kind of just brought in to sit around and look pretty. That was
Yes.
basically it.
She never
So
wore pants, like or full dress. Like she was literally in like underwear the entire film.
that was it. And I think she's probably the only real female with any decent talking parts in this.
She's
So her,
Isn't she like the
her
only woman? Well, yeah, because his wife never says anything.
no. So yeah, maybe she is, but she I don't know.
This movie
There's no
does
real
not pass the
development.
Bechdel test.
So her only real thing that pushes her forward is her interactions with Jonah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so just in summary, I think I don't know. I guess the structure of it, I think, is poor. It's poorly written.
Hmm.
It's not well put together. It's not really well executed. I didn't hate it though. There's moments of it I enjoyed. I think Josh did
Yeah.
a really good job, and I think actually most of the actors did a really good job.
Hmm.
And it's a good thing. Even there's a lot of strong TV actors in this movie, and I could shout out some people that I saw from Fringe. Obviously, Will Arnett plays the Batman in Lego Batman.
Hmm.
He's in that. Really weirdly, it's actually strange that him and Megan Fox get to play together in the Teenage Mutant Turtle movies that came out.
Yeah.
So I think there's some really good standout names in here. Michael Fassbender in this movie is at the beginning of his movie career,
Hmm.
and I think without those strong cast, this movie would have been far worse for
Yeah.
me than it was. I'd say I didn't hate watching it. I didn't love the movie. I wouldn't ever choose to sit down and watch this again unless
Yeah.
somebody really wanted to watch it for some really weird reason. I think there's the bare bones of what could be a good movie in there,
Yes.
and maybe with the right editing, they could have made this a better film.
Yeah.
I personally would have taken out the supernatural stuff. I would have taken out the weird delusions at the end. I got a bit lost with all of that. I think probably the one person I wish they had a recast was John Malkovich.
Yeah,
Really
I was just
enjoyed.
gonna say that. Like he seemed to me like the only person that phoned it in. Everybody else actually put in effort into their
Yeah,
roles. Whereas John Malkovich was just kind of like, meh.
I think. Do you know what? I think had Michael Fassbender been a bigger name back then, he probably
Hmm.
would have been the lead villain.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of it for me. I just wasn't really that impressed with it, but I didn't hate it. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, I think Josh Brolin, he carried the weight of this movie,
Yeah.
and there's some of the best moments are with him in this movie. His humor actually is really strong. Like
Hmm.
it's kind of really dry humor, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
But
I
what about
Did
you?
you have any favorite scenes?
Probably that scene in the bar where they're like trying to bother him, and he's like, I just want to, have my drink, and he
Yeah.
just shoots the guy. I thought that was really strong. I quite liked that. So,
Okay.
um, to be honest, a lot of what I preferred with him was more in the first half an hour.
Okay.
Like, I think after the first half an hour, it did get lost.
Yeah.
I think even his scenes were better in the first half an hour. It felt to me like I don't know what happened in that first half an hour to change in the second half an hour. So yeah, I think his action scenes in general are pretty good. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
I
what about you?
I think that I think it's just like a conflict, right? Josh Brolin really wanted to make a Western that was a comic book Western. Like he said he wanted this film to be like a High Plains Drifter, which Clint Eastwood back in the day, one of, like Clint Eastwood's probably like the most second to John Wayne, the most iconic like Western film actor in the US, right? Like Josh Brolin really wanted to make essentially a spaghetti Western. That's what he wanted. And he did not get the chance to do that. So I think like the structure of the film to me reads very similar to most of the Westerns that I grew up watching. Like this, to me, this film is like Hang 'em High. And in Hang 'em High, it's like this band gangs up on Clint Eastwood. They hang him from a tree. He doesn't die. Somebody finally cuts his ass down. And when he comes down, like vengeance is the only thing on his mind. So he goes through the rest of the film looking for the guys that hung him from the tree, right? And to me, that's what this film is like. So to me, it does feel very Western, even though it has like this weird technology and the supernatural element to it. All of these things I like individually. Like I love Westerns and I love the technology that's not quite in the right time frame. And I love revenge films. Like revenge films are some of my favorite. But like it just didn't all come together very well. So I think the idea was there, but instead of them forming like a solid story structure, it's very like nebulous. Right? It's just kind of like all over the place. It's very moving. It just never solidified into a cohesive film. But I did like it's bizarre. Like this film is a flop by like anyone's standards, right? $11 million in a box office in 2010 is just absurd. But I enjoyed it. Like even though it doesn't have a structure per se, even though it doesn't really have any strong attribute, like I just enjoyed watching this film. Like it's objectively not a good film, but I enjoyed watching it. And I think some of my favorite scenes would definitely be the scene on the train tracks with Fassbender whistling while he's laying the dynamite and just giddily blowing up a train full of people. Like to me, that pretty much set the tone for the rest of the film. But there is no solid anything for you to grasp onto as the viewer watching this film. But I enjoyed it, and I like the supernatural element to it. I think, especially for me, like with comic book stuff, like the more out there it is, the more fun it is, right? Like if you're gonna make a Western, then I would rather someone take a book like Pulp from Ed Brubaker and like make that into a film versus something with a premise like Jonah Hex with this guy walking around with this completely disfigured face. Like, yeah, I mean, supernatural elements fit that to me. So the supernatural stuff did not seem out of place to me. I thought that was an interesting way to make this different than the comics. And I kind of enjoyed the fact that he could talk to the dead. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I could have gone without that part. Yeah, I didn't hate this film. I enjoyed it a lot more than Spawn. Spawn was really hard work to watch. It was really, really shockingly bad film. It was probably one of the worst films I've ever seen. But this film actually isn't. No, it's not a good film. It's not a terrible film. I'd say it is a bad film.
Yeah.
But I kind of didn't mind watching it, and I do think a lot of that we've got to owe to the cast. Really
for sure.
Strong cast. So there's some good, like I say, good strong TV actors in this movie, which I think they helped carry the bulk of the other scenes. And then we've got some good movie actors in there like Megan Fox, Josh Brolin, Fassbender. I keep forgetting his bloody name. The other guy, John Malkovich as well. So John Malkovich, whilst he phoned it in, still, was passable in his acting approach. So in terms of how I'd rate this movie, I think I'm going to go 1.5 out of 5.
Oh, wow. I didn't expect you to be almost as low as Spawn. Okay.
I gave that a 0, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
So, yeah.
Okay, 1. So you're at a 1.5. I'm 2.5. Like I think it's almost middling to me. It's almost mid.
If they made a sequel, would you watch it?
Yes.
Well, I guess we'd watch it for this, but
I would. I mean, I would. Yes, I would choose to watch it.
Yeah. Okay.
Like because again, I love.
Would you go to the cinema or would you wait?
I'd wait. I would wait unless I could get like tickets to go to the movies for like $5, $8.
So what you're saying is you wouldn't spend your own money.
I would pay less than $10 to see it.
Okay.
But like stuff like this I like because I really like Cowboys and Aliens. Like I know a lot of people did not like Cowboys and Aliens,
No,
but
I did
I
watch
thought
that,
that
but I
movie
can't
was
remember it. Yeah.
freaking awesome. Like how
No,
cool is that?
I don't remember watching it, but I know I have watched it. And I know I did
Love,
enjoy it, but I can't remember.
love.
But anyway, let's draw our line to an end. Hopefully, never have to deal with Jonah Hex again in any capacity. So,
I think Josh Brolin has come too far. He's like, I was Thanos. Like, I'm good. I don't need to revisit Jonah Hex.
If they did Jonah Hex again, it would be a complete.
Oh yeah, they have to recast it
reboot,
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they might get Megan Fox back, but I actually don't think she'll come back.
No.
Anyway, so next week we're going to start our trilogy of movies.
Yeah, our run up to the big one, the first big MCU film of the year, Ant-Man, the Wasp, and Quantumania.
So next week we're reviewing Ant-Man 1. So come back. We may have a guest, we may not, depends how things work out. But anyway, Ant-Man 1 next week. So you can follow us on social media everywhere. We are Geeks Unleashed on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcast. Google, Podbean, Apple, Spotify. We are everywhere. So please leave us a 5-star review and tell your geeky friends.
Oh, and before you go, the last 2 weeks, myself and Steph have done live chats on The Last of Us breakdown episodes. We'll be doing episode 3 next week
on Instagram.
So actually, the day this comes out. So if you listen to this before we do it, you can tune in on Instagram, Geeks Unleashed. So thanks very much.
Good journey.
Have a good week. Good journey. Bye.